Just waiting for some people to pop on for just a second here. Hello, Michelle. Let's go ahead and begin. Good morning. It's Thursday, which means it's time for March's stamp class, known as Technique Time. And this month features the Simply Succulents bundle, which is a stamp set, and then the coordinating potted succulents dies. So good. So we have two Michelles on board here, Michelle and Michelle Mallet. Good to have you here as well. Anyhow, I was just mentioning the Simply Succulents bundle, which is fabulous, and I'm going to talk more about that. In your kit, you might not know it, but I love this die set so much and think that it is such it's the perfect combination of functional, versatile, cool, and awesome that I included a piece of everything in your kit. So we're going to use everything, and we're going to use almost, I think, every stamp. I can't remember, but good. Kayleen is here as well. Glad you're here. If there's somebody else that popped on and I didn't see the comment come up, sorry about that, but I'm glad everybody's here. We are going to, you can work along with me today, or you can rewatch a replay. This will be held in the media section. So you'll find that under videos if you want to catch a replay of this. Hello, Jolinda. Glad to see you here as well. Michelle's waving, so I'll wave back. All right, I'm going to flip my camera. So if you need to, shut your eyes. If not, not to worry. Give me just a second to flip so that we can begin. All right. Hopefully I can see comments. So feel free to pipe in with comments. They help me to know that you're there. And if you have questions, just give a holler. We are going to start with, you have a packet in your kit that has some pool party. Let's grab that one. And then you're also going to need, so for those of you who porch stamped, you have a smalls bag, and then you also have your stamped bag. So just bring those elements out and have those handy. And hopefully, if you have the stamp set, you have it on blocks and ready to go. But let's begin. So pulling out the pieces to this kit here. So if you have a mailed kit, your mailed kit looks just a little bit different than the porch kit, because when they come to porch stamp, I put all the pieces in a bag. So I'm pulling from two. You probably have a bunch in just your one bag. Anyhow, so this piece here, this the quarter sheet of white, it's trimmed down just a little bit. This is going to be the back of the card. Okay, so this is where you're going to be able to sign and write a message. So that's for the back. And then these pieces here are all for the front, as well as this piece here. So this is our card front and our card back, or our base, rather to say. So just a little bit, this paper here, you're gonna see more of this paper next month in our April Technique Time, where I'm gonna focus on the Friendly Flamingo. Well, it's a friendly, that's hard to say, Friendly Flamingo bundle, along with the gold leafing. So that class will come with some gold leafing and some heat and stick powder, and we're gonna have some fun, and we're gonna get really artsy in that class. But we're also going to use this Fine Art Floral Designer Series paper. The backs of them have all this really pretty oil painted flowers and things. So we're going to use the more neutral side today, but next month look for that. We're going to use a lot of that paper. We're going to use that matching embossing folder and the flamingos. We're going to mix the flamingos in there. And it's going to be fun and fabulous. I'm already working on it. So for this one here, you will need your trimmer, and you don't totally need your trimmer because I've done all your paper cutting and your scoring this time. But if you want to bring it out just so that we can go over the score lines, so that if you were, maybe you don't have a kit, but you're watching along and you want the measurements, we can, you know, you can work that way. So this piece of paper here is, it's a full 11 inches long, and it is 5.5. So 11 by 5.5 is this piece here. And we are going to make some score lines in your trimmer. And we're going to start the first one. And this card here, this first one is at 1 1/4. You're going to score, okay? Mine's already done, yours is already done. Then the next one we're gonna do is gonna be at 2 1/2. We're gonna score that. And I have to open up the arm here so that we can see all the measurements. Then this one that I have actually folded for you is right at 5 inches, okay? And then the next one is at 6 1/4. And the last one is at 6 3/4. Okay, so that is the scoring and the cutting for the card base. So this card that we're going to make is a variation on some different cards that I've been seeing, where they, it's, you know, I'm just gonna call it a stand-up card because you can stand it up. But they've not had a back on them. They've just kind of been, you know, it just kind of folds flat and it stands up. Well, I wanted to put a back on this, so that's why I've reconfigured the measurements and done a little bit of changing things up here. So if you open your card and where it folds, where I have folded it, I want you to take this next fold and fold it the same direction. So we have 2 mountain folds, and then this last one, or you know, this one over here on the edge will be a valley. So far we have that, okay? Now these right here, this is going to be a valley, and then this last one is going to be a mountain. So if you're looking across all this, you have mountain, valley, mountain, mountain, valley, okay? And so our card is going to come together like so. So now you can see how that's gonna stand up. And at the same time, it folds flat to be able to put it into an envelope if you want. Okay, so let's give a good crease on all of those. I'm just gonna kind of do the mountain folds first because they're all on the one side. And then I'll flip it over to grab these 2 valley folds. Okay, and get this one nice and burnished in. Perfect. Okay, so there we have it. This is the card base that allows this to stand up and be just a little bit different. So now I played with this, and you could move this over, you know, just by changing your score lines. But basically what I wanted was a 4 1/4 panel here so that I had a standard card size back that made everything stable, and then it finishes it off. It doesn't quite feel so exposed or open in the back. So each of these papers here that I've pre-cut for you, they just glue right in here like so. So let's just, oops, I forgot to get glue out. We grab some glue, which means I probably have to unclog it because I haven't used it in a few days. Okay, so what is your favorite way of gluing down designer series paper? Do you guys use Tombow? Do you use snail, tape runner? What is your preference? But this little skinny piece is probably it's not tricky. I mean, but it's just kind of, because it's little, it's kind of, there we go. So there's that piece right there. And then these all kind of, can't pick them up, are gonna go here and there. Let me, since the big one's in my hands. Tombow. Tombow, so this green cap glue, Kayleen, I prefer it because I can kind of move things around. And if it's not quite where I want it, I can slide pieces, or what I call skate, kind of like gliding on ice, you know? I like to move things around. Plus, I find it economical. I do like this Seal Plus as well. In fact, I've learned some tips on that are pretty nice. But for something like this, this is what I like, is the Tombow green cap glue. Michelle, your glue as well. Awesome. Okay, so it doesn't matter how you put these on, just, you know, I'm not matching up any patterns. In fact, I wanted the patterns broken up to really highlight the dimension that we're building in this stand-up card. And then this one will glue back here, but we'll do that after we do some stamping on it. Okay, so there's our card base, and now let's actually assemble this. So the first thing I want to do to assemble this is we're gonna glue this skinny panel right here. We're gonna glue that to the back. So just in this skinny panel here, add that glue there, and then close the card, and then just give it a good burnish with your fingers. Kind of let that glue set up. And then once that starts to set up, we're gonna add glue to this last tab here, and it's going to glue here, but I'm not necessarily just gonna glue that and say that's what it is. I'm gonna glue it and kind of fold it at the same time and let it train itself, because it's ever so slightly, you know, off by just, it's not off, but you know, it's just a hairline different. If I really line that up, then it's gonna force this to kind of buckle. So that's what I would suggest, is that you work this closed so that it has a more natural fold in the way that you're gonna kind of put things together. So I'm kind of not wanting to get that. So I'm just gonna shut the card and let it grab that back side. And now burnish this on with my fingers. That way we know it folds flat without any puckering, okay? And it will slip into an envelope nicely. You'll still probably have to pay extra postage because it's gonna get a little bit thicker by the time we add all the fun stuff. Okay, so there it is. That's kind of a cool, different approach to a card. Now, you can't open the card like you normally would, but hopefully they would flip it over and find whatever you're gonna do on the back. So let's decorate the front and the back. And so for this card, we're going to use the this whole nice grouping here, this arrangement of succulents and the pot itself. I will say, I have worked a lot with succulents at Bloomster's, and this is definitely, so I've seen people rotating this, and it's fine. You can do that because there's no rules to anything, but I will tell you that Mother Nature, these grow up like this, and this type, this more sedum type, does grow downward. So that's how I am typically arranging this image here, is with this succulent here up at the top, and then this more sedum style down at the bottom. Okay, so, all right, in my smalls bag, or wherever you, maybe it's already in your kit. So you need the die cut piece. I've die cut this piece for you for the potted succulents. You're gonna need that one. You are going to need this plain white label. So you're gonna see that, this fabulous label. We're gonna see that a couple times in this class. Here's another label you're gonna need. Whoops, there's my pot. And one last label that you will need will be for the back, and it will be the other pool party. So we're using a lot of stuff on this one. But here I just want to point out, look at how fabulous. This is 3 of 4 of the labels in the dies here. Whoops, I'm already sticky. Sorry about that. So there's 3 of the 4 labels that, and that's why I really like the versatility of this dies set, in that, yes, you have a die that cuts out that stamp imagery which is great. So we have those, but then we have these that are supporting pieces in this die set that these work for anything in the catalog and whatever you want. Oh, my mom is watching. Hello, mother. Okay, so those pieces you're gonna need, as well as these, and also a Memento ink pad is what we're going to use. Now you're probably wondering, if you don't have, if you have the stamps at home and you have a mailed kit, you're like, what am I gonna do with this piece? How am I gonna stamp that? Well, I would suggest actually putting the stamp on your block and putting your stamp face up and then turning this piece upside down and aligning it. And I'll go over that a little bit more later. But what I've done for those who come to porch stamp, I have a jig set up here, and I've made my own jig with just a piece of, I use thick, this is thick vanilla, but thick vanilla or white. And I use that because it's a little bit thicker and it allows the piece here to set inside. Okay, so I'm just gonna set this, it's upside down. I cut it upside down. Okay, I'm just gonna set it inside, kind of like a puzzle piece. And then I have my stamp image set up on my block. I mean, on my, oh, what are these called? These, the panels, I don't even remember what these are, the plates. Hello. This is set up so that I can just repeat stamp, or that those who are coming to porch stamp can stamp this image. So I need to put the pot in as well. So there's the pot. And I'm gonna ink it up in black ink. And this is Memento because I am going to use Stampin' Blends to color this. You could use archival ink. The dogs broke in. You could use archival ink so that you can, so you could use StazOn archival so that you can watercolor if you want. Or you could color this image in with watercolor pencils or Stampin' markers, pastels, whatever you have on hand, whatever you like. I'm going to use blends. But there you have it. I smeared my pot just a little bit. Got to let that dry. I'm going to take these out, and we'll come back to the jig later. The Stamparatus, but my homemade jig that I've made. Okay, so we're gonna bring these two pieces in here. And I'm gonna bring the sample in as well. So hopefully you saw all the samples. Yesterday, I loaded these up for you to see in person, or not in person, but you know, in photos. So we're gonna do this work on this bouquet here, this bouquet of succulents. And I had, where did I put it? I had got myself a piece of scrap paper. Now I don't know where I put it. Shoot, Queen. Huh, I just had it. Here it is. Okay, sorry about that. So I just have a piece of scrap Whisper White. And I wanted to have that handy so that I could kind of practice what I'm gonna do on my succulents here. Because last month with the donkeys, we used a lot of blends, and we blended light and dark colors of the same color. But this, on these succulents here, to get some of these variations, which if you've ever been to a succulent garden anywhere, you'll find that there are lots and lots of varieties. I have this color in my backyard. These were inspired by some that are in my yard. This one's inspired by an Echeveria, so hen and chicken. So all of these colors really do exist in real life, but how do we get them with our blends? And so what I did is I really kind of played, and here are my blends that I'm working with. So I just grabbed soft seafoam for now, and I'm gonna grab Pool Party as well. I mean, they're all here, so I'm gonna use them all. But what I'm doing is laying down a light color first, and then putting another color directly over it to completely change it. So for instance, if I have this soft seafoam, right? And if I put, say I wanna put petal pink over it, it's like, well, what does that look like if I do those two colors? I mean, a lot of the petal pink is coming through right now, but I'm getting a kind of a greenish pink tone that's not quite so yellowy pink without the green under it. And so it really does start to create some unusual coloring. So I would suggest kind of playing with some colors. The other fun one to do is to take Purple Posy, which, by the way, this is being discontinued because it's being retired. So you might want to, I posted the retired list. Okay, so here's Purple Posy with a little gray granite on top of it. But just take some of your colors and start layering them. And what's fun about them is even if you expose or don't color over the entire color and you leave some of the original first layer showing, you get some nice dimension there. Hopefully you can see that. But I would suggest kind of playing with those combinations before you go straight to coloring your succulents, because you might go, oh, it looked good. And then you get to the last one and you're like, I totally killed it, which how do I know? Because I've done that. So let's color this guy right here. And I laid down a whole bunch of soft seafoam, and I want the soft seafoam light. So here's the light. Oops, I don't want the bullet. I'm just gonna use the bigger tip and just come in and almost get the whole thing. If I have some spots of white, I don't care. It's okay to me. Because in the end, it just creates some highlights and some, you know, low lights kind of thing. And I think I need a new set of soft seafoam. This one's really losing its juice. Mine get a lot of use. Okay, so I'm laying that color down. And then I'm gonna come in with some of that petal pink. And I might not color everything like I just did, but I'm gonna do, you know, like 90% of it. Okay, kind of come in here. And the thing that's interesting about using the blends is you go, oh, I don't know that that's looking so good. And then you go off and you do something else and you come back to it and it's like, oh, I'm liking how that's turning out. Next, I want to kind of come in and I'm just going to kind of hit these points with the darker seafoam. So this is seafoam dark. I'm just kind of tracing the edges just a little bit. Okay. Come around and get all of these. And then I think I'm even going to come in with some Pool Party and change up the, you know, just kind of a little bit here and there. Because not everything is just one solid color, right? And that's the fun about the alcohol markers, is to get them to do some of this blending. That's coming along really cool. Then if I really, really want to, I can come in with a little bit of the color lifter and say maybe I want to even pull out a little bit more of that color. And this isn't going to show up instantly, but as you kind of let things settle down and move to another one, you come back to it and you're like, oh, hey, that one's turning out really, really cool. So there you can see I'm getting just some different, you know, looks there. And color-wise, you'd be like, well, what color did you use? And yeah, it's different than this first one, but I think maybe I did the petal pink on this one with the seafoam over it. Over here, and then added in some purple. But what I can do to kind of intensify this one even more, I'm going to come in and do just a teeny bit on these tips, and this is Just Jade Light, which is a great succulent color. So I'm also going to give you, I saw the new catalog yesterday, and it's gorgeous, and there is a new color. One of the new in colors is called Soft Succulent. So it's going to be a perfect fit for this stamp set, which is carrying over into the new catalog. So I'm kind of just hitting this Just Jade where all these little lines are. Whoops, I got a little heavy there, but I'll blend that in. So where I said I needed to blend it in, I'll just go back with my Seafoam, which is lighter than the color I was just using, and just kind of, you know, blend that just a little bit. And so in those spots, you might have to do more or less. Some you don't, like right in there needs a little. Just where I have a more harsh line, that's where I just go back and lay down a little bit more ink. But that's coming right along. So I'm not gonna color the whole thing because it takes a little while to color everything. I am gonna color the pot because that's kind of fun to get that galvanized look. But just play with the colors and see what you're hoping for. So Kayleen says the Purple Posy blends are discounted. Nice. So grab them now while you can, because you know, last night Pretty Peacock paper was already gone. It's done. So grab those things. Okay, so for the pail, here's what I did on the pail, and I thought I just put down gray granite first, and it was a little flat for me. So let's just put down the gray granite, and my gray granite blend is nice and juicy. And there again, if I'm missing in some spots, it's okay. So I did gray granite, and I'm like, well, that's kind of boring. But then I went back to the blending the same way I was doing this sort of stuff, and it's like, well, what if I just kind of add some green in here? And while it's still gray, it's starting to create some different, it's just creating a more, I don't know, it's just more lifelike, more interesting. But I'm gonna do some of the darker gray granite kind of here on the sides to create some, these I'm gonna kind of emphasize those lines there. But towards the sides here, what I wanna do is if I kind of hit these, that will create some shadow, which will help to give that illusion of it curved and going, you know, coming around, or curving around rather. And you know, I just kind of hit it with a little bit of blue. I just did all kinds of things. Kind of blend this color right in here that I just has a little bit of a harsh line. But you can almost see, let me see if I can show it to you, how this is reacting right in here. The blends are mixing and doing just what I want it to do. And it's kind of getting a cool, interesting, you know, kind of, it's cool. It's fun to blend those colors right on top of each other and not have, you know, it looks artistic. And I really am not a great, you know, Stampin' blender. I'm okay, but I'm not great. So that's what I did there. And then, you know, we can chat more tomorrow night. We'll maybe color a few more of these if you want to pop onto the live Zoom class where we can all kind of see one another. I will be going over this card again, obviously. But anyway, so let's finish this up. Let's build this card. We'll kind of put the blends away for now. And like I say, I will finish coloring it up later. So this is obviously going to kind of come in, and I'm going to glue this to the pot. So, and I am. We talked about the orientation of how these succulents should be sitting in the pot, in my opinion. But my boss would say the same thing. And he's a landscape artist, a florist, all that good stuff. Okay, so, whoops. Oh man, got glue all over. That's gonna make me nuts. Okay, there's that. Flip it over, add several dimensionals to pop that up. Now, being sure that when you do this, that very edge right in here, you're not gonna want to have that, oh look, and I've got glue all over mine. Oh gee, Minnie, I'm batting 1,000 here. Okay, just watch where you're putting your adhesive. Do as I say, not as I did. See all that glue? It's gonna show. I'll clean it up later. Okay, so So I have these. And this is going to come in and kind of sit right down here. Now you're gonna wanna have your card, if you put it up like this and go, I want it like that, as you shut this, you don't want it extended out over the card. You wanna keep it to where it's gonna be inside this edge so it'll still fit in your envelope, okay? This white label, we're not even gonna stamp or do anything to it, but we're gonna put glue just on half of it. And this is going to be flat in there. I like how this little vignette of labels came together. And I'm just gonna slide that right under there. Get it right about there, like so. It was kind of unexpected. I had every intention of having it run the other way, and then as I was playing around, I liked the other. Okay, the Purple Posy and the Peacock blends are 20 to 40% off. Good to know. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that info. Okay, in your stamp set, there is the My Kind of People, or Kind of People are My Kind of People. I'm gonna stamp that with Memento, the same ink that we stamped the other. Kind of like to tie the colors, the ink colors together that way. And so I am gonna stamp this horizontally, and hopefully my stamps are fairly straight. I'm just kind of straightening my label on the paper. That's good. And then the thanks is gonna go on this little blue one. Like that. That'll be for the back. And leave your ink pad out. We're gonna need it just a little bit longer. We'll put this one on the back. This one here, throw a couple dimensionals on. And I just turned this over, so you wanna make sure that this kind of stays, that this edge stays free of dimensionals. And this one's gonna tuck right in here. Like so, okay? And in your smalls bag, you have some ribbons and things. You're going to need, this is the gray twine from the Well Suited combo pack. Gonna need that, and pull out the opal rounds. I really enjoy these opal rounds. These are fun to add to things because they just go with everything. So we'll tie that in a bow, but let's add these. So I'm gonna add a small and a couple larges. So I'm gonna do a small one, say right about here. He's fine. The dogs were barking earlier. Brian's the quiet one. Okay. Taking forever to get that guy off. And then I'm just kind of tucking this one right under in here. And then we'll tie this in, get that out of my way. I'm gonna just tie this in a bow, just two bunny ears, and tie the bow, and then, you know, pull it to shape that you want. And then this is just gonna go on with a glue dot, and I'm gonna tuck it right inside. It looks so naked without all the color, but I promise I will get the coloring done. And this is going to just tuck right up in here, like so, okay? And then trim your ends. And there is the front. Oh, there's my garbage can. So there's the front. Obviously it needs a little more color, but you know, same sort of thing. Now let's turn over and let's do the back. So for the back of this, let's pull this greeting here. You make the ordinary extraordinary. Okay. And I'm going to stamp that just kind of right up at the top third, across there. And I want to also Let me bring this image back in. You can use any image, but I decided I wanted to add some color to the back of this card. So I'm going to pull the pot off for now because I don't want that in my way. And I'm going to clean my stamp here with the chamois. And I'm going to just use this to do some background stamping. Okay? So get all that black ink off. And I need Pool Party. Okay. And I like to add just a little bit of color to the backs of cards. You could use, if you don't have the succulent stamps and you did the porch stamping, you could use any textural stamp. And I'm not even going to worry about how this lands. I'm just going to stamp the corner and then do the same thing. You like that? I was too lazy to get a block out for this, but I also didn't want to have to reposition this piece for the jig for tomorrow night. Because once you have it placed, it's kind of nice to, I'm going to turn this way this time. There you have that. Looks pretty cool. And then this last tag here is going to go on and just be an added little thanks for your help. Oh, man, every time. I was almost done. It's on the sanding block. That's from, oh, gee. Do you guys do that? Am I the only one? Okay, here we go. Throwing this on the back. Make sure I'm going the right direction. And there it is. Okay, so stand-up card. There's the top view, the back view, and then the front. So if you want to take a picture, you can, or you can look these up. They are in, if you go to the Backstage Pass under Media, and then under Albums, you'll find a March album there, and you'll be able to see some close-ups of this. But have fun with blending those colors and making some really gorgeous succulents. Each one I do turns out a little bit different. In fact, let me bring a few samples out, and I'll go over some more of these tomorrow night if you want to see them up close a little bit more. So here's one, totally different look, you know, just by coloring them in different colors. And then this one here, kind of a, you know, having some fun with the coloring on that one. What's cool about this one, I don't know if you can see it. You see all those little white dots? That's with the chalk pen. That was kind of fun. So I might have to do that some more. But yeah, I'll show some more samples tomorrow night. And definitely let's, if you pop on to the class tomorrow night, you know, I'd love it if you'd share how yours turned out. And I'll finish this one. You'll see that there. All right, moving right along. Let me get some stuff out of the way here. Ink pads that are going to get my knuckles mucky and then ruining other cards. Am I the only one? It's like, oh man, thumbprint. Okay, this next card, you get to choose this or that. So you're going to need your packet that has the crumb cake card base and this beautiful piece right here. This piece is, this is the awesomeness in this die set. Now, let me tell you, if I were to have cut these out on my Big Shot, it would have been really hard. But I actually cut these dies out face up. So I turned the die face up and put the paper on top and ran it through the Stampin' Cut Emboss machine. So the new Stampin' Up machine cut like a gem. I mean, every little piece fell right out. So yeah, on a detailed image like this, I highly recommend that new embossing machine, cut emboss machine. So here's what you're gonna do with this one. Because I didn't know if you were gonna want a 3D project or a card, I gave you the supplies to make this, or let me get this hanging the right direction here, or that. And so I wanted, the minute I saw this stamp set, I wanted to make a dream catcher. And so I kind of made a colorful variation with this one here. I'm going to show how I did the dream catcher because everything here has just been loaded onto this card. You know, I mean, you can look at where the things are placed, but I've used not all of the ribbons, but some of the ribbons, so you would have extra. But all of the other elements that are on this card. So I'm going to show how we did this here. So we're going to build this one. So in your kit, you have an embroidery hoop, a 3-inch embroidery hoop, right? Okay. You can, I had a whole stash of these. I had tons of them. So I thought, let's use these up. That's why we're going to make a dream catcher. So undo your hoop so that you can take the middle out, right? Okay, we're going to work with this. We'll need this in a minute, but we're going to work with this right now. Okay, and so my thought was, this was in my mind and I like how it turned out. So this is actually being used as a faux dream catcher. I hope Ruby can't hear the dogs. So here is an actual, you can go on and do a tutorial online how to actually tie a dream catcher. But I thought, and this is a dream catcher using our linen thread that's in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. But rather than teaching you how to tie all that, I thought, what a quick, fast, fun way to use one of our die cuts. Okay, so to do this, what I want to do is you're going to need a spritzer of water or rubbing alcohol, or you could even take an aqua painter. You just need to soften this paper. And so to do it fast for now, I am going to use just my, even though it has color in it, that's, you know, frost white shimmer paint, my usual stuff, but this will get this malleable by getting it wet. So give it a good spritz, and while it's wet, you're going to mold it right over your, just kind of bend. If you tried to do it dry, it's going to be a little bit trickier. So I'm just kind of molding this right over, and then take your outside piece and just carefully wriggle that down the sides, trying not to tear it. You can do it. Tell it who's boss. Okay, you might have to do a little bit at a time, but there it is. Okay, and now I'm just going to tighten this back up. And I'm going to come over to the back side and trim these pieces off. Okay, just make sure this is flat. Just come right in here and just snip. I need scissors that don't have glue on them. Okay, pretty easy. Just come in here and give it a haircut. On mine, a few of these little pieces ripped on their own, but that's okay. It's in the hoop and no one's ever gonna see it. And my thought for these was to hang this on like a gift bag in lieu of a bow, but it would also look really cute on like a glass bottle from Trader Joe's of, say, pink lemonade. That would be really cute. They also have a blueberry lemonade it would be kind of fun with, just color-wise, you know. You got to buy the treat to match what you've stamped, right? Seriously, I do that. Okay, so there you have it. This is pretty much destroyed. I'm not going to use that for anything. But there it is. Right there is how I've done my faux dream catcher. And I have a little spot right there. I think, see how this is sticking out? I'm just going to undo. Can you see that? See that? It's not caught. I'm just going to lift this up a little bit. I'm going to undo this. So this is what you can do for your own. And I'm just going to use my scissor to try and wiggle this into there so I don't have that raw edge showing. Get in there. There we go. Oh, it came out, but you get the idea. Okay. Now, for the fun part of this, what you'll do, and I've already done some of mine so that we don't sit here all day, but in your bag, you have a whole bunch of ribbon, and all of the ribbon is for this project, okay? But what you're gonna do is take your scissors, your good ribbon scissors, and you're just gonna clip right up the middle of each of these pieces of ribbon. And this is a technique that I found has worked for me, is I'm holding my thumb, I'm holding my, the tail that's already been cut right on the edge of the scissor and just kind of sliding it down. And that kind of gets me down these ribbons pretty fast and even, okay? So I'm going all the way, cut that all the way down so that it's into two pieces. And I think I'll do it because the other part that's important after you've cut all these ribbons apart is we're gonna kind of feather them and give them a more, I'll show you up close in just a second here. I'm gonna run them against the edge of my scissor like you would curling ribbon to take some of these cross threads out, or actually they're the lengthwise threads. Okay, so you have your ribbons here. Now take your scissors, and it really doesn't matter which edge you're going because it'll work on either side. I'm just kind of pulling this like I would curling ribbon, and you can see that I'm getting all this little crazy, see how these threads are just coming out nice and easy? But what it leaves me with is, as I get this pulled away, is it leaves me with just a nice, I don't know if you can see it. If you do your own, you kind of can there. This soft feathery edge that to me mimics the, mimics kind of feathers that would be on a dream catcher, okay? So these, you're gonna do that to all of your pieces. And so I've pre-done mine. Let me move this one out of the way for just a second. So all those ribbons are for this. Okay, so you have two braided trims in here. You have Mossy Meadow, and then you have the original linen braided trim. Let's just set that one aside. This one's going to be for the bottom as well, but we're gonna pull it apart in just a minute. But so you have all of these. And so mine are done here. Let me get the one that I just did out of the way. So you have this fine art ribbon. That's this linen colored with the gold thread in it, which I think is gorgeous. But once you cut all your ribbons down, then you can see how you've got all kinds of color to add to the bottom of your dream catcher here. So what I'm going to do is just kind of reach this right up and through and find the halfway point and tie it in a knot. And let it just kind of sit right on that edge. And then just a little square knot there, okay? And we're gonna do that with all the colors. I'm gonna space this one out, and I'm gonna put this one, say, over here. Don't want them right next to each other. And this will probably be my high spot on this side, and then I'll kind of match that, and then I'll do everything in between, okay? So now from here, if here's my high spot, the bottom, now I'm gonna do one right in there. And we'll do some green. I like the softness of these in-color ribbons that we've had. They're nice and supple, and they don't take over. You know how sometimes ribbon, you can put it on a project and it just kind of, it's like, whoa, it's taking over everything. Okay, let's put this one in here. There's that. So you can see how this is starting to take shape, right? Now I gave you guys all of the Misty Moonlight ribbon, and I didn't have enough from my last two kits here for myself, but that's okay because this denim ribbon will look just as great. So if mine looks a little bit whiter to you, that's why. A slightly different color. Can't get this one through. There we go. But I had a good time with this project. was just fun to do something a little bit totally out of the ordinary. You know, just kind of fun. Could hang it on a doorknob. That's where mine's been hanging, on the doorknob going out to my patio. Okay, let's do the other blue one for balance sake. We'll do it over here. So we're also going to take apart the braided trim. We're going to break those down just a little bit, just to soften those and get some more kind of dimension out from them, get more, I don't know, just more texture, I guess, rather than being such a tight weave. We're going to pull some of those threads out. Okay. This is going to go on this one. Same thing. Taking just a little while, but we're almost there, folks. Let's see, I think I'll add this pink one right in here. So this is Magenta Madness. The ribbons are Magenta Madness, Just Jade, and Misty Moonlight. And I do believe these are all being discontinued. Okay, so there's that. And there are different lengths. That's okay. We'll trim that up. We'll get those, even those up in just a minute. So for your stupid dog, I mean, it's like Livy. You know those people, they live here. Okay, so what I want to do, like I say, to kind of make this a little bit more interesting, I'm going to pull some of these threads out. Okay, I'm going to probably pull, I don't know, half of them out. So if you just kind of find a couple of them, you might have to do one at a time. I got one. So I'm just pulling straight. Don't pull this way. Whenever you're pulling threads from something, pull up and down. So pull up on one and down on the other. So, and it'll come come apart for you much easier. If you pull sideways, it'll just get knotted. Okay, grabbing one of these. So like I say, it gets easier as you go. Except when it's stuck to you because you have glue on your fingers. Okay, that's good. So I've really taken this one down, and I'm just going to kind of fluff it a little bit. And then I'm going to take these and kind of group them back together. And we'll tie these together as if they were one piece. Okay, that way we get a little bit of this mossy meadow, some deeper coloration in here. So I'm going to do this one over here on this side where it's going to be easier to get all of these into a bigger hole. Yeah, right. Oh, she did it. Hot dog. Yeah, no barking, Liv. If Ruby's listening, she'll go crazy, wondering where you are. So my mom said, she goes, Ruby can hear Livy in the background barking. Ruby's one of her puppies. I'm sure you guys remember that. Okay, so tying this one off. And one last one, tying it off as well, tied off on the other side. This one should be easier to get through. Oh yes, much easier. Then, once you've got these all tied on, just kind of hold it up and you can even your ends out straight across, or I actually kind of, I curved mine. Mine kind of, you know, they're longer in the middle and a little shorter on the sides. And now we get to just have fun decorating this. But you could make any arrangement you want. I was trying to keep it simple enough for a class, but I think it would be fun to do this part of the decoration even more textural and crazy with all the succulents. But so you can see here that my ends are, my green is a little bit longer. Yours might be more even. I was picking up one that I already had done. So maybe I'll leave these a little longer right here in the middle. Where does that pink one fall? Okay, kind of take some of this off. Yeah, okay, I'll call that good for right now. But there's the bottom. That to me is the fun part. I've always loved adding ribbons for texture and things. I think we have one. There we go. One of these things is not like the other, and it was a lot longer. Okay, so now with this last piece, this is going to be to tie onto the top of the hoop here so that you can tie it to a bag or something. But we're going to thin this one out as well because I'm going to use a couple of these pieces. So grab two, and we're going to use a couple of these pieces on our next project. There's one. I really like this braided trim. I think it is really cool. I mean, I like how you can scrunch and do some cool textural things with it. But I also like that, you know, you can kind of thin it out and use these thin pieces for just some twine on things. Okay, so that'll be good. Save these two for our last project. And then this is just gonna go on with a half hitch. So fold your braided trim in half and then poke it through the hoop. And then bring this up and around. So bring that on. That way you have these two ends to tie to wherever you're gonna go. Kind of like we would Christmas tags and other tags that we've done. Okay, so now let's finish this cutie up. So in your bag here, for this project, you're going to need another one of those labels. That's crumb cake. And you're going to need the pink. And let's grab the pieces, just kind of that one. You need this kind of looks like agave to me. And the blue. So you need the Misty Moonlight. That one right there. So those are the pieces we're going to need for this to finish this off. So these are going to be embossed with white. And so what I'm going to do is bring my Stamparatus back in and the jig that I have. And I have a different plate ready for this one. Okay, so this plate's actually coming in from the top. Okay. This one's ready to go. And I'm going to put my pieces in. And this time we're going to ink up with Versamark, or you could use white if you would like, if that's what you have at home. You could use white ink and white powder, white ink and clear powder, or clear ink and white powder. I am using Versamark ink, which is clear basically, and white embossing powder. Okay, so I'm just going to ink these guys up. Something seems to be sticking. There we go. And stamp my guys here. And I like to put embossing powder in just little, this Glad thing is so old. I mean, it's probably, I don't know, it's ancient though. It's got to be 6 or 7 years old, but it's perfect for, you can't get this piece out. Come on. There we go. So let's tuck that in there, tuck this one in, and I just kind of shake the embossing powder on there. You could use an embossing buddy if you wanted. But there's that. Then I would heat set this. So I'll do one just for anybody who might not do a lot of embossing. So I have my heat tool ready. Here comes the sound, but I'm just going to kind of hold this down. I'm going to get my heat tool hot before I come to it. So let it run for a second or two and then melt that powder. There it goes. And just like that. There's just something about heat embossing that's always kind of fun. There you have it. And I've already done my pieces, so you won't have to sit here and watch me do that to everything. But stamp your images with, like we said, Versamark, then heat and emboss. Okay, so let me just kind of set these aside as if I've already done them. Put them on later. Bring your dream catcher back in here. And now we get to have some fun. And so my pieces are done. Arranging these, and you can put them on however you'd like. I've done different things. Basically, what I wanted to do though was make sure I'm gluing to this area right in here. You could use hot glue, you can use dimensionals, you can use green cap glue. It'll take a little bit longer for green cap to set up, but you can kind of put them on, kind of play with them, how you're going to arrange them, what looks good to you. And I've done all kinds of different variations on this. And, oh man, stuck to the, you gotta be kidding me. There's a little bit of tape on here. Kind of coming in here, wherever you want to put these, but have some fun, kind of adding those where you'd like them. And you can put the agave wherever you'd like. So those are gonna glue there. And then this, I just like to give things a tag and a purpose if I'm gonna have something like this. So I'm gonna use that same, you make the ordinary extraordinary, only I'm going to stamp it with black, okay? And like I say, this would make a cute, in lieu of a bow, this would be cute on a bag, hanging down the front of, say, a craft bag. If you're giving a gift, then you have a gift on the front, on the packaging, and on the outside. Okay, little hole punch action in here. And that allows me to string this right up on my linen thread here, my linen, braided linen. Yeah, right, like I'm gonna get it through there on camera. Oh, I did it, yay. So that's going on there, and then you can, tie that off, but don't tie it tight, that way it won't fall off on you. But you can still easily open that knot up to add that to whatever you're gonna add this to. So, like I say, you can glue these into place to where you want them. I think I'm gonna add mine with hot glue once I'm off camera, only because I don't want to sit here and wait for the hot glue to set up. But the last finishing touch on this, which is so fun, a lot of times when you see dream catchers, they'll bead beads into the center. And so that's what kind of adding these opal rounds, that's what that was reminiscent to me. So just have some fun adding several of these to your, right to where these are going to kind of show up. And I'm selecting spots to put these where there's, where'd it go? It fell through. That's why you're selecting spots. Where there's, see, like right in here, there's a lot of intersecting right there. So that's where I'm gonna put that to give that enough area to kind of stick to. So let me show you this one here that's finished. We'll slide this one out of the way. Okay, so this one here, I don't know if you can see those opal rounds, but there's 1, 2, and 3. And what I did is I just kind of really came in and gave them a good stick and kind of held them down. And then here's my tag. It's just kind of slid down. But there's this one, kind of pretty, kind of different, something that you can do this project, or like I say, let me bring in the card version, but you can see it's still the same emboss with the white powder. And then this one here, I've just trimmed up this piece to fit on your card front. And then when I glued this, I'm only gluing the edges down, okay? Because by the time you stick all this stuff down, that will help hold it down as well, okay? Even my opal rounds, so see I used 3 on this, just like I did the dream catcher. Even that's helping to hold this down. So don't worry about gluing this whole thing down. It's not necessary. And then, like I say, you can use the ribbons however you'd like. you know, it'd be fun to see what you guys come up with, different variations using the materials that were there for you. Okay, any questions? Give a comment, or you can join tomorrow night on Zoom. The number for that, I'll give it right now. If you have a pen handy, it's 971. Wait, what's my number? 5257. That's the end of it. I can't even think of the number right now. 901-771-5257. I think that's right. Password, all caps, ink spots. That is in your email letter that went out earlier this week. But I'll post that and say what that Zoom link is for anybody else that may want to join in just to see what we're doing. We're going to be doing this, but we can chat and have fun. Okay, last project, my favorite project. I love this little project here. I don't know, it just kind of has a modern, cool vibe to it. With the brass, with the gold, with the embossing. So let's get to it. You are going to need, any embossing folder will work. And in your kit that I gave you, you'll find a piece of 6x6 chipboard. So you're going to need that chipboard. Have that handy, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to tear it however you would like. So I'm just going to kind of tear some of this off. And and you don't want it super big. But if I'm just tearing it down like so, okay? So, I mean, I've really only used the middle. So this is what I'm going to work with. You could use this for another one if you'd like, so you can set that aside. And you're going to need your Big Shot or your Stampin' Cut and Emboss, whatever you're working with. That will all work just dandy. But I'm going to bring my Big Shot in because it's kind of handy right here. And let me tell you what my sandwich is. My sandwich is going to be this. The original platform, okay? So not your magnetic sheet, if you have that from the old one. You just want your Big Shot platform or your, I think it's your number 1 plate if you've got the Stampin' machine. So you've got that, one clear regular plate, okay? This is the brick and mortar embossing folder, okay? So this is a 3D folder, a Stampin' Up! 3D folder, okay? So this is gonna work for a 3D, not for a skinny. I don't know what that's gonna be. You could do the concept, you're just gonna have to figure out what your sandwich is gonna be. And you need the piece of chipboard, okay? So this is gonna be my top plate. And this is how I'm gonna get my partial embossing. So instead of having a full plate on this entire embossing folder, which would give me that brick and mortar on the whole piece, I'm just gonna end up getting the embossing where my chipboard piece is. So first things first, in your card kit, grab your pieces, and you have a cut rectangle here, okay? So I want you need to kind of be savvy as to which way you want your bricks going. So I want my bricks going across because that's usually the way bricks are built, right? So I want them going across because this is a vertical card. Now, if you go the other way, it's totally okay. Don't worry about it. But just be thinking about it. So make sure it's straight. And mine's not straight. And this is some stuff I don't worry about, but you kind of want this one to be straight. And then decide, where do I want my embossing? If I put it all here, that's where my focal elements are going. It'll all get hidden. So I'm going to move this over into here. Okay, so I'm gonna move it down just a little bit. I'm gonna run it through the Big Shot, just as you normally would. And what you're gonna get is just that partial embossing. So I think that's really kind of cool. Anybody like that? I do. I totally do. Kind of fun. Okay, so to finish up this background, grab your Stampin' Blends, and I'm going to grab my Just Jade. And, oh, Kayleen loves it. Oh, I'm glad somebody likes it. So I just think it's really cool. And you could do it with all kinds of stuff, you know, just play around with it. I will say that you have to change the chipboard out because it starts to crush on itself. So you would just, you know, but you get plenty of chipboard in your paper, right? So free stuff. Okay, so I'm using the marker end of a Just Jade, and I'm gonna put my pen into the cap, and I'm just going to flick some splatters on my paper, okay? So I'm gonna do that with the Just Jade, and I think I'm also gonna do it with a little bit of the darker petal pink. This one's gonna be subtle, but I'm gonna do it, and it will pick up these little petal pink dots, will kind of pick up the brassiness that's in the card itself. Okay, so then you have a card base here. This is Thick Whisper White, and we're just gonna glue this one to here. But I will say you might want to be sure that you're totally dry on these dots because it's the Stampin' Blends. They're probably dry, but if you do that trick with, like, say, a regular marker, they take a little bit longer to dry, and nothing like seeing perfectly little splattered things smeared. Because it just, to me, it loses their charm. So be sure everything's dry. Okay, kind of glue this down. And now in your smalls bag, you should have one last thing in there, and that is the gold hoop. Oh my goodness. These gold hoops are so pretty. I really, really like these. They're in the annual catalog. I can't remember if they're being discontinued. I think they probably are. I don't think I saw them. But anyways, so this is going to be kind of the anchor of our wreath here, and we're going to do a succulent wreath. But I have one more technique that I want to share you. Now, if you've already stamped yours because you did some... you did porch stamping, you won't be able to do this technique, but you'll be able to color it in. But I want you to try this with another, I want you to try it with another stamp, just so that you can kind of see how cool it is. So I'm going to take my stamps. So I need these two right here. I'm gonna take them off of the plate. I'm gonna peel these off. And I'm going to mount these on just a regular block, because now I'm just going to do what I call stutter stamping. And we did this a long time ago. This has been a long time since we've done this. Back when we would make the Technique ring cards, that's how long it's been. So, I mean, I haven't done Technique ring cards in a long time. So I'm just kind of cleaning my stamps. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Pretty Peacock for the larger succulent. And let me bring the card back in here so you can see it. So I'm working on this one right here. And so let me bring this up so you can actually see this so I can point it out. This is just another way of doing some quick coloring. And this is also a way that you can, it's like if you accidentally like smudge your stamp, keep smudging, and then just call it stutter stamping and do it with other pieces and it'll look intentional. But I think it's kind of cool. And it's an effective way of coloring fast. So I can still have something totally artistic and fun and me, but I'm not busting out every Stampin' Blend or every other thing. So all you're gonna do, hopefully you can see this nice and easy, is I'm going to stamp my image and I'm just barely gonna pick it up. Can you hear that? I'm just tapping it. And so what I then have when I'm done is just kind of a blended, cool look. I think it's pretty fun. And then you would just cut this out if you have dies at home. I've already done mine. But that's how I did that. Now, let's do the other two because I need two more of these in Just Jade. So here's my Just Jade. Okay. Like I say, pick up any open line image stamp that you have and just try this if you've already porch stamped. It's like you're just stamping off all that excess ink. Okay, it's not quite as through the camera as noticeable with the Just Jade, mostly because it's a lighter color ink. But you're gonna need two of these. Okay, how cool is that? and then cut those out, which I've already have some done ahead of time, so you're not sitting here watching me cut these all out. And I'm going to use those in just a second, but for those who porch stamped, you have just some Just Jade and you don't have that stamp to do that again, just grab some of your, so here's Pool Party. I'm just going to come in here and just give this a little bit of color. Just real quick, down and dirty, nothing super wild and crazy. And I'm not even going to color the whole thing. And then I might add the Just Jade to the Pretty Peacock. But that way you have some color and some, you know, some quick color, some life, and it's not just that plain stamped image, although that works as well. Okay, so you've got that. Okay, so again, through the power of television, is that what they say? I have mine already done and cut. That way you don't have to see me sit there and cut these out, okay? So let's start assembling this. And I'm going to start with this big guy. And what I think I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna come in with like a glue dot to kind of hold this down. So I'm gonna put, I know it's one, I kind of want it right in here. So I'm just gonna put a glue dot right there to hold that down. And I'm gonna do the same thing up here in this corner so that it's not, you don't see it. But at least this way I get, and this isn't the only way I'm gonna hold this down, but at least that's how I'm gonna start to anchor this, okay? So just kind of smooshing that in, kind of just really get that to attach to that. So what I did is I took my pokey tool and I'm just kind of really trying to get that to grab that. Now I have dimensionals on the back of these already prepped ahead of time, and that's gonna help hold this in place as well. And so I'm gonna start, let me bring my original in over here. I'm gonna start with this bigger one. It's kind of the anchor piece in this little combo here. I'm gonna kind of come in here and it's gonna just come right in like so. And then the same thing with this guy. Again, I have two, so that what I can do is the two mini dimensionals are straddling the hoop, okay? So I'm just gonna come in there, kind of wiggle that one there. Same thing here. Make sure I'm straddling it. Bring it right up in there. Good. I'm making sure they're not in the same orientation. And in your smalls bag, or actually in your packet, just kind of depends on how, if you porch stamped or not, you have this little banner piece. So this is the last label in the set of dies. So you've seen the other three, there's number 4. And then we also have this kind of mother of pearl type of succulent that we've cut out of gold or brass. And then the last piece in the set of dies, this is probably my favorite. I love this little thing here. And this was the piece that I forgot to cut. And I'm like, the card has to have it. So the mailed kits were all sealed, and that's why I had to tape them in there funny for you. But you actually don't need to poke these little center pieces out. It's just kind of a habit. What you do need to do is chop this in half. And so I'm going to just kind of take this right in half like so. And that way I've got a piece for up inside here and a piece for down below, okay? And actually I think I'll switch that because I've got a dimensional in the way right here. There we go. This one will tuck in here. Okay, and we'll assemble all this in just a second. But let's stamp the You've Been on My Mind, and I'm going to use cinnamon cider. I really like the cinnamon cider with this kind of color combination, and it's, to me, it's inspired by terracotta pots, which oftentimes, you know, succulents look great in terracotta pots, right? Okay, so hopefully I can get this on straight. Pretty good, pretty good. Let that dry for just a second, and I'm gonna put that on with dimensionals as well. So let me take some minis, well, I think will work better. And I'm gonna do kind of 2 to one side and then this one over here because I know it's gonna straddle what's in the middle. So it's gotta go over the hoop. Okay. I kind of don't, I'm like hoping that ink is dry on the other side is why I'm handling it a little funny. But there you have it. These aren't quite ready to glue into place, but they're in the area. And so I'm just gonna kind of tuck this underneath. Oh, let go. Bring this across. This is just gonna kind of come in here. And this is another reason why I wanted those bricks to run this direction, is I knew my label was gonna be, I kind of wanted them to be cohesive together. Okay, so let's get these little pieces glued into place here. I'm just doing just a teeny bit on these edges, and I'm going to tuck this inside like that, and then this one's going to be right where I had it. Okay, you don't need glue on everything, just a little bit so that it'll catch. Tuck that. You do want to make sure you don't have any, like I needed to cover that exposed edge right in there. And then this piece here, I got glue on it. This piece here, it could just tuck in here, but you know what? It was driving me nuts because that's not the way I wanted it to hang. So I will show you what I did, is I actually clipped this apart. So you saw I just clipped off that top piece, and now I'm gonna switch these and they're gonna go this direction, okay? So I'm gonna hang them that way. Okay, just because if it were an actual succulent, that's how I would have it going. Okay, tucking this under, get in there. My other one's in the way. Kind of need to lift that up just a little bit. Okay, so this one's kind of coming in there. Gonna do the same thing with another glue dot. These are the old glue dots where they're on this side. Just the way I prefer them. Okay. Get these to kind of sit the way I want. Okay. And then go back to your opal rounds, and let me grab this, is better. I like this little spatula end of the take your pick tool for these. I've got one in here, and I've got another big one inside the hoop, and then I've done a small one right up in here. And then if you have room for it, you'll notice I had room, whoops, I had room on this one to add the word thanks. I don't know that I have as much room on this, but yeah, I'm not gonna do it unless I shorten this guy a little bit. I think I'm gonna keep it without the word thanks this time. So you can do either, but remember that braided trim that we pulled a couple pieces out, that is what I'm gonna use to add this tiny little bow here. So you have plenty there, okay? Just kind of hold two together. And I didn't want anything too thick, which is why I used, you know, just some thin little wisps, because I wanted it to visually balance the weight of the gold hoop. You know, if you did a big thick bow on here, it'd be just, I don't know, too volsumt. Okay, just kind of thinning out the threads here. Okay, even that up however you'd like it to lay. And then this, you know, you kind of, it's just gonna come in there. I'm gonna put it on with a glue dot. But when I use this glue dot, I'm gonna kind of roll this just a little bit so that it's not gonna show too much, because I don't want it to show on that gold hoop. So hopefully you saw what I did. I kind of rolled it with my my pokey tool. Okay, and now I can stick that on there, and it doesn't show at all, but it's on there good and tight. Okay, and then I can take and just kind of trim these to the length that you want. If you want yours shorter, go for it. I have always kind of been fond of longer tails on my bows. Okay, so since the thanks didn't fit on the front of this one, you know, they each turn out a little bit different. I could easily put the thanks on the inside. So there you have it. Some partial embossing and stutter stamping. So it just kind of a little something different. And like I say, this one was born out of making a mistake one day. And I'm going, oh, I kind of like it. So anyhow, I hope you have enjoyed these cards, these projects. Join me tomorrow night. Like I said, I'll have some more cards to show you made with this stamp set. We'll chat, we'll have some fun, we'll create together, and I look forward to it. Just a little bit of business next week, a week from today, April 1st, no fools joke here, but April 1st will be my Here's to You Paper Pumpkin class on Seeing Ink Spots, my public page, not this Backstage Pass page, but it'll be on the public page. Join us for some card making using that kit and the stencils that are in that kit. So anyhow, that'll be at 10 o'clock, April 1st. I'll see you then, or even better, tomorrow night at 6:30. It's at 6:30 my time, so California time. See you tomorrow. Thanks for joining, and we'll catch you soon.